As a judoka, I always carry the samurai spirit with me. I always clean my room before a fight. This is because an arena is like a battleground. Judoka consider the fight to be a battle of life or death, and I always have that in mind. To lose is to die. To win is to live to fight another day. That's how I see judo. That mentality comes from the samurai tradition, and it has been with me through every stage of my career. It was impressed on me by my family during childhood, at high school and university by teachers and the various people who taught me. I think that is why this mentality has stayed with me.
Hi, this is Shadi, and today I want to talk to you about mental training. I've been looking up a lot about what did the old samurais train in, how did they schedule their day, etc. And I've noticed this pattern of weapons training, whether it is kenjutsu, kyujutsu, Judo, whatever it may be, studying Judo, any school of jujutsu they happen to belong to, physical conditioning, of course. But the thing that struck me the most, or really took my attention, is that mental training. Mental training was a big part. It's like a third of the all three that I just mentioned. And a lot of the people, say keep Zen, meditate, try to free your mind in order to become really centered and, present in the moment in whatever you are doing. And they say just sit down, be still, and try to think of nothing. And in my opinion, this is arguably the hardest thing you can do. This is not how you start meditating, because, just think of it a bit logically for a second. At least to me, it says that, you have to sit down, do absolutely nothing, and expect to be present. I know it can be done, but for someone that does not know the concept of being grounded in the particular moment, it's gonna seem incredibly impossible, because it's very easy for your mind to wander while you are doing absolutely nothing. You can possibly say, sit down, focus on your breath, count how many breaths you can, put some audio of Wim Hof guiding you to breathe. In my opinion, this is a far better form of meditation than to just sit down and do absolutely nothing in the quiet, because for a beginner that may seem very tough. Now, is that important? Of course it is. Being focused on one thing, being grounded in the particular moment, is incredibly great for whatever you are doing, whatever you are trying to achieve in life. And also, of course, in your fighting, you want your mind to be grounded just like your body. And there are practices that I found that help me do that. I'll give you a few examples. So recently I have decided to invest in what is called a straight razor kit. I do the stropping, I take a bath, I make sure my face is soft, I strop the blade before I go in the shower to make sure it is nice and sharp, and then I put the shaving oil. I proceed to lather my face with the brush, all these while looking in the mirror, trying to look for spots, trying to concentrate on the blade while I'm stropping it, and also the blade when it's across my face. And the reason is obvious. If my mind wanders while I'm stropping, I'm gonna rip out the leather and also ruin the blade. Same thing for my face. If my mind wanders and I'm a beginner, I'm gonna slice my face off. So it's a great practice, at least to me, to at least try to teach me how to concentrate on present event and on the present craft in the moment, where I do not have the option of straying away in my thoughts. In my opinion, this is a great way to try to teach yourself a form of meditation that at the same time it's a form of self-care, and at the same time it's teaching you a great skill. It can be anything, it doesn't have to be shaving with a straight razor. It can be pottery. It can be something that, in case you lack concentration, it's gonna you're gonna ruin everything. Watercolor painting is another thing I do. Oil and acrylic, you can easily correct it, but in watercolor, you just cannot do that. I want to talk to you about how they do that today, martial arts wise. You see here in front of you, it's a kyujutsu, not kyudo, kyujutsu form of training where it's like a battlefield. You know, you have to duck, you have to go, and you see these little targets where you just have to bam, shoot them, draw as fast as you can, run as fast as you can, keep ducking in case of the enemy finds you, etc. It's very military. It is very, you know, technical. It has the name kyujutsu, technique, or you know, technique of the bow. It's not like Judo, the way of the bow, but now it is with the whole reform and, you know, try to preserve the culture. It has now become Judo. It is not military whatsoever. However, it does have a very strong teaching to give to you, and that is concentrating on just one thing repeatedly. Bam, bam, draw, shoot, etc. You cannot do anything else, and if your mind wanders, the results will be very, you know, showing. And that's another form of mental training for honing your skill and also put you in a present mental state. You just position yourself well, draw well, and shoot well. The goal is not to hit the target. They say that it's right from the beginning, but it is rather to launch an arrow correctly. And once it is launched correctly, it is most likely to find its way rightfully to the target. It reminds me a lot of my favorite author, Khalil Gibran, when he said, you know, your children are not for you. You do not possess them. They come into this life through you. All you have to do, you cannot control their thoughts. All you have to do is shoot the arrow right, and this arrow is your children. It is very much the same thing. You do this repeatedly, and finally you get that craft right. I know competitions are about hitting the target, of course, but you know, when you are between yourself, competing with yourself, it's about grounding yourself in the present moment and honing that skill and not having your mind wander. Now, does that sound a lot better than just sitting and doing nothing? To me, is a 100% yes. You know, if you cannot practice any types of sports, I'm sure that if you have a Judo center or club near you, I'm sure they can still hold training, because you're not in contact with anyone. They wear the masks and they sit very far from each other and they shoot. I suggest, if you have the option, to that, or something like Iaido, which is art of drawing the sword, or the way of drawing the sword. And if that does not help, you can always invest in a straight razor. So I believe that this form of training is very much important, not just, you know, going and drilling recklessly and mindlessly uchikomi. Does that have its place? Of course, but also you need that practice where it keeps you right in that particular moment and you are doing your thing like the old samurai, whether it is, you know, doing craftsmanship, training with the sword is something very delicate and just keeps you grounded. And of course, once you can do that, you can sit down, practice your breathing, and be in that Zen state. Just going from nothing into that Zen state is absolutely impossible, in my opinion, and so many will quit it and just think that it is just ridiculous, but it's not. It's just incredibly advanced. But do that in a way that you can acquire skill, like shaving with a straight razor, shooting an arrow, you know, drawing the sword, etc. If you have anything else to add, please tell me, send me a direct message, or just comment down below. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.